Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Longbox. I already scared Kelsey away. Kelsey and I were talking just before going live. It was funny. I was thanking him for doing this with me. Oh, this isn't focused. I was thanking him for coming on and doing this with me. And Kelsey said, yeah, he goes, I enjoy doing this. You know, nobody else wants to do this. I was like, oh, Kelsey, you want to go live with me and play comic books? That's what we're doing. We're playing comic books. Now I'm looking.
Oh, are we on? Oh, yeah. Crap! I'm like watching TV. I'm sorry.
So, watch TV.
Yeah, hey, what's happening?
Hey, I was telling the audience, we got 11 people watching already that we're playing comic books. I said, hey, Kelsey, you want to play comic books with me? And remember when you were a kid, you're like, you want to go play Star Wars or you want to go play G.I. Joe? Me and Kelsey are playing comic books, everybody.
Well, I mean, John's the guy. He's the guy down the street, the kid down the street that has all the comic books. I had this friend who I'd go over to his house to play G.I. Joe, and he had all the comic books, and he read all of that stuff. And, you know, so I just, at lunch, when we'd sit down to, like, have lunch, I'd grab a handful of comics, and I didn't know what I was looking at, but you know, it was cool. So
the funny thing is are you still in contact with that guy? Because you're the guy who's in the comics professionally, and he's probably like a stockbroker or something.
No, he's a college professor, actually. He was he was well read. Obviously, he read all the comic books.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, he was a smart kid. So you know, I didn't know. Like he read voraciously, whereas I just played with my G.I. Joes, you know. But he had college professors, parents, and but you know, fun. The way to after reconstructing my comic book memory, you know, I really didn't totally focus on it until like in the late 80s when I saw that Liefeld button fly jeans commercial. You know, and I had a friend in school that had the Spider-Man comics and like Ghost Rider, and that's when I really started paying attention. But I do remember all this stuff from like when I was much younger, because of that friend. Now it's you. Maybe it was you.
Kelsey's friend. There we go. I remember I was in 6th grade, and there was an 8th grader. This is gonna be said, but we called him Fat Kid Rogers, not to his face.
That was me, jerk. No, I was kidding.
But he was the older kid who knew everything about comics. And, you know, and so I was in maybe 5th grade. He was in 7th grade, or maybe 5th grade, 8th grade, or whatever. But he was, that's a big deal back then. And when he said, oh, this is a comic, this comic is important, we were like, oh, we had to get it. I remember Fantastic Four 206, he ordered me to get. And that was the Fantastic Four fight. I was going to get it anyway, but I couldn't disappoint Fat Kid Rogers. You know, focus. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to focus on this. Anybody
see after this, I'm already calling the next one, man. We got to get into some Fantastic Four.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Because I have only read like a handful of stuff, and it's one of those books that, I mean, unanimously everyone cites as great. And I don't think I've ever heard anyone say anything bad about Fantastic Four. I've read some of the John Byrne run, and I enjoyed it. So, but very, very little. Only a couple issues.
I could pick a couple of Fantastic Fours. Yeah. So there you go. At the end of the series, because we're only going to do 2 issues tonight.
Well, the Galactic, I heard that like we're going way off track, but I'm we're comics, so we're doing comics. But yeah, the Fantastic Four run that I've often heard is great is the Galactus one. When he shows up, I guess the first time he shows up.
Oh yeah. I did that on my Sunday comics. I have them.
Okay.
I would love to, you know.
Yeah. Well, he makes a big appearance in this.
Yes. So we'll address the chat, and then we'll jump into the Secret Wars. So we got Fabrizio ILO, who good evening, Beards. Very much looking forward to this. I have a sentimental attachment to Wars, Secrets, and Zach. Fabrizio Aiello is the guy behind. He does everything for Horace H. Hoover, a comic that I cannot stop talking about, not stop championing. And
yeah, he was selling it to me before the show, actually. So you'll be proud to know that.
I forget. Fabrizio, put your website in the chats. direct people to your comic.
Is he a moderator? Yeah.
Yang Yo, one of my favorite people to talk to, another guy who's just super knowledgeable. Secret Wars, fantastic series, too often repeated. Yes, that we'll definitely be mentioning that now, like how Marvel and DC cannot let a good thing go. Yeah, need my love when Kelsey's on. Yeah, so do I. Yeah. So Kelsey, last week when you had a family emergency, I went out by myself and did One Beard, One Comic. I love this series. Hey, Jose sent me some nice emails about how he was thinking about quitting YouTube, and then he watched my channels, and now he's back. Good, Jose, send me a message, send me a Twitter, and come on, we'll talk about comics. Focus. Yeah. I don't know if you talk about us, but Kelsey and I refuse to focus on anything in life.
That's true.
Look a bird. So if you're talking about focus on the comic, man, I got to upgrade my system. I agree with you.
We're definitely like dog people.
Squirrel. Yes. The 90s, the early 90s, where everybody thinks about the 90s nostalgically, but 1993, oh my God, was such a bad year for Marvel and DC. Oh my God, it was awful.
But 93, can you remember what was happening in 93? Because I was
Superman had the mullet. Invisible Woman had what they called the hoochie outfit. Reed Richards. They tried to kill off Reed Richards. Oh God.
I was reading heavy metal at those times. I gave up on it.
So, anything you want to say before we open this up?
Well, I'll give a little what do you call it? Not a preamble or something, but I'll just kind of give you like a little heads up. I read the first 2 issues. I'm only going to go a few issues at a time so that I'm kind of going along with the series as well. I had like foreknowledge when we were doing the Warlock stuff and couldn't wait to get to some stuff. So reading this really illustrates how great a writer Jim Starlin is. Let me just say that because as dated as Warlock was, it is a masterpiece compared to the dialogue in this.
Yes, now, this is more comic booky.
This is, I mean, when I started, it was shocking. I'm like, is he going to tell me everything right up front? I'm Spider-Man. I have the powers of a spider, but I have this, and I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
How you doing?
Yeah.
I can lift 2.5 tons and I can stick to walls.
Yeah. And so I was a little worried. I was like, oh my God, is this going to be the whole thing? But then when I got into issue 2, it was towards the end of 1 when we really got into Doom. And then as I kind of followed Doom's story, and everyone else's, but Doom stole the show for me so far.
Doom, that means they did Doom right.
Great, huh?
That means they did Doom right. Doom is an egomaniac, and if the actor who's playing Doom in a movie doesn't overact and steal the show, he ain't doing Doom right.
He was fantastic in this, and it is kind of stilted as all the dialogue was. It was perfect for him. And Magneto, and then I started to get in. It was like when we first started learning Shakespeare in school. I didn't understand a word of it, and then there was a moment where they told a joke in like Hamlet, and I got the joke, and it was kind of like the Rosetta Stone, where everything got opened up to me at that point. So when Doom came in, and I started to really love the way he was written and how badass he was. Suddenly it was like the next issue still had some really stilted dialogue, but I was getting into the rhythm of it. So I was starting to really enjoy it, because even though the dialogue, it's almost unbearable at times, the old Jim Shooter, the ideas and the building of what they're doing here was exciting me. So we can get into it from there, but I'm just saying, like, it started rough for me because I'm not used to reading this kind of old stuff like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started really getting into it, honestly.
So first off, I don't know if you know or the audience, but this started with, was it Mattel? Mattel, the toy company, came to Marvel and said, we were going to make a toys. Can we make a comic book tie-in? So basically Mattel said, we're going to make a comic book. And Marvel was like, yeah. So Jim Shooter said, I'm going to write it. what figures you're going to use, and I'll work them into the story, and there we go. So this was
work them into the story. He put them all in a lineup, and everybody had to say their name and their powers all at once. Well,
that was just it. This was like Mattel was buying them up and giving them out, so they had to do what comics. They had to introduce people, like they were trying to get a new audience. So yeah, that's like that little bit of that wonky comic book dialogue that we kind of just accept, but new people, I guess, would be like, this, hi, I'm Reed Richards. I flew a spaceship into the, and I didn't do shielding, and now everyone cursed with the powers of the Fantastic Four. Oh, how you doing? I'm J. Jonah Jameson. I run, and then once we get past that, it turns into natural. Like, if that happened in a movie, we'd turn the movie off.
But what's funny is I kind of like it. Like I'm like been of two minds where I'm like, I don't know if I like this, and then I got to where I think I do like it because of everything is very upfront. People's emotions, they talking about them, their powers, everything going on is very clear, and the action and the movement and the ideas and everything just doesn't stop. It's not like manga where you're going for 25 pages on one idea. This is like ideas after ideas after ideas after ideas. I mean, it's flying.
Yeah, breakneck pace. So anything you want to say about this cover? A 12-issue limited series. That blew me away at first because first off, this is 1984. I don't know if you can see right over here. It says copyright 1984. Yeah. So
is that when you got it?
Yeah, this is my copyright off the rack. I told you, even as a kid, I was meticulous about my this. I might have had bags of I must have had bags of no. This was still newsstand. But I think I had bags of boards at this point. But yeah, this is right off the rack. Yeah,
in 84. Can you think of what movies were in the theater in 1984, like around this time?
Yeah, what was it?
Goonies, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, look at this cover. And I like to point out we had a female black Captain Marvel who was the leader of the Avengers at the time, but
she says so too.
Yeah, every third sentence is like, "I'm the leader of the Avengers."
Yeah,
but we loved her.
I love this cover. I love
Iron Man, but we'll reveal that when it shows up. So
I love Mike Zeck and John Beatty on inks, who is an old friend of mine. Actually, I love John Beatty, and I wish I'd have read this. If I'd have known him then, I would have been bothering about stuff, but. We always talked about Michael Golden. He was as obsessed with Michael Golden as I am. But was this for Mike Zeck? Do you know if this was before, after, or during his Captain America run?
Oh, his Captain America run, I'm pretty sure it was before this. The year 1982 popped out to my head, but I'm not 100% sure. If anybody in the chat could look that up. And he also did that Punisher run. Is this before the Punisher also, or was the Punisher first?
Gosh, felt like the Punisher was later because his art was a lot more meticulous. But it was even the Captain America stuff was a lot more advanced than this, and it makes me wonder if he was going off of Jim Shooter's layouts.
Also, keep in mind this is a toy tie-in.
That's another thing. It's all like little action figures on an even kind of playing field, where they're dancing around play sets. And again, I kind of like it. At first, I didn't know if I was going to like it, but look at that little toy play set right there to put your action figures in.
I'm surprised they didn't make that, but yeah. So I don't know how much you know about this, but in every Marvel comic, this thing showed up.
Oh, really? Okay.
So in whatever, I don't know. I'm May. It says May 1984 issue, but so we're going to say May 1984. Every Marvel comic has a Secret Wars tie-in, and boom, there was this contraption in Central Park, and and the X-Men went to investigate it. The Avengers went to go investigate. Everybody went to go investigate it, and any hero that went inside of it was trapped, and now it's whirling through the cosmos. So it was really weird because it was the Secret Wars. You went into this thing, and then it disappeared. And then the next issue, like I forget what number it was, but say it's Fantastic Four 157, and then Avengers 158. It was the aftermath. You saw the results of it, so you already know like who survived, who didn't survive, what happened, whose costume changed, and all this stuff. But it didn't happen yet. So now you're reading the Secret Wars, going, well, how does the Thing get to this point? How does Spider-Man get to that point? You know, how does the X-Men get to this point? Because you saw it was really weird. Like I thought, like, would it have been better if the Secret Wars just happened and then at issue 12 they have that contraption? No, but they did this. You know, they had to get you invested, get you surprised.
Well, they talk later about, you know, in several points in the story, they talk about, bless you.
Yes,
they talk about where they were right before they got zapped, and even like, you know, I didn't even have my pants on, and they put my pants on, you know. So I'm wondering if those issues you're talking about where that Thing shows up, how well it ties into that. Are they literally talking about the last thing that they were doing in that issue? Like, it's Jim Shooter, so I'm assuming the continuity is going to be just right on point, right?
Yeah, the continuity is really strong. Also, keep in mind, the villains didn't go into this ring. You know what I mean? Because that would have been awkward to all of a sudden all the Masters of Evil and all these bad guys and Galactus and Dr. Doom all show up in Central Park. It would just be like a West Side Story rumble. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So, you know, all the heroes went into this, and then when they materialized in Battle World, all the villains were there too. So, you know, and I think some of the heroes didn't go through this chamber. They like it was just the Beyond or whatever summoned them, even if they didn't go through this. But you're right.
Yeah, because there is some notable ones missing, you know, like and they even mentioned like why is Richard's, what's her name?
The Invisible Woman.
Yeah, Invisible Woman, because she's pregnant at the time.
Yeah, I think
Or is that Scott Summers? Is that what's her name? Phoenix. What is it? Mary. Huh?
Oh, Madeline Pryor. Well, she's not a superhero at this point. At this point, I don't think she was even the Goblin Queen. At this point, she was just a human. I think they were writing Scott Summers out of the X-Men, and then when X Factor.
Yeah, he was just getting married or something, and
they were marrying him off, and I fully believe that they were getting rid of him. They were going to write him out. They were sunsetting him, but then they did X Factor, and they wanted the original X-Men back, and then they had him abandon his wife and pregnant wife, and then they had to like, oh geez, we just made him an unlikable character, so they changed her into the Goblin Queen. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
you know, he still is a deadbeat. That was I used to love Cyclops. You know, up until the point he abandoned.
I love the Goblin Queen. She's great.
Yeah,
great outfit. All right, so
Cam, my buddy Cam. This is my buddy Cam in California, in Florida. Zek's run was in the early 80s because I was in high school during it. Pretty sure this was his next big gig after Cam. Yeah. As much as I know about comics, Cam knows more. Hey, how you doing, RJ Williams? And imagine the characters being summoned by humans in our dimension to fight in a tournament. To the humans, it's just them writing fiction. To the characters, I know.
Yeah.
That's the DC premise, that their comic books are real in another dimension. It's a real hero beyond. Oh man, don't undo happy endings. Expand on them. Yeah, I agree. Technically, she had Nathan before Scott left Madeline. Yeah, that time travel stuff in the X-Men. I'm a time traveler stickler. Even that confuses me. I read the Goblin Queen she had nice plots. I agree with you.
Yeah, she had great plots.
So here they're showing the scope. This is Jim Shooter showing the scope, and we got to show the credits. Jim Shooter, writer; Michael Zeck, penciler; John Beatty, inker; Joe Rosen, letterer; Christy Shale, colorist; and Tom DeFalco, editor. Because that was Jim Shooter's rule: is you couldn't edit your own work.
Well, I love the color in this. It's just so pure comic book.
Look at that. That is just like, that's a splash page, you know.
That'd be a great poster on your wall. Come on.
Look at that. You know, and you could see some of the limitations, like this Human Torch over here, like it's very sparse. Like it's almost like that was after. And then what position is this of Iron Man? Like,
he was on the toilet when he was summoned by the.
Can't even take a poop without the. But everybody else is pretty cool.
I like Spidey. He's got a great pose. Yeah, it's just a great like shot of everybody. Like, all right, sound off. Everybody say their name.
Wolverine's down there ready to attack.
I thought I had missed something. I actually had to like make sure that I was reading number 1 because like it just starts. You're just like in it.
Well, that's just it. It's in every comic book there was like now I want to say preamble. You got me thinking preamble. Oh, I didn't even realize. Look at this awkward position for Rogue. I mean, for Storm.
Oh my. Yeah.
We got to throw Storm in there somehow.
Storm, the Weather Witch. Yeah.
Punk rock, and then look at this. I think this panel is what you're talking about.
This is I was like, what the hell am I reading?
There's not even backgrounds. This is just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man at your service. Like, okay, everybody, roll call. That's such an old comic book thing,
You got to wonder what Zek was thinking. He's like, I'm creating like masterpieces on paper, and they just want me to draw like a bunch of figures.
Yeah, it's like it's a toy tie-in, Zek. Because
he must have they must have clued him in, because he did a great job. When you think about it like that, it's perfect. I mean, it really works.
But this panel is exactly what is needed in this comic, because how many people bought this because it's got all the superheroes? How many people bought it because limited series were not the thing at the time, and this is Marvel's first big event. This was going on with Crisis on Infinite Earths. This was competing directly with DC Crisis on Infinite Earths. And they were like comic book store. Like, do you like Secret Wars or do you like Crisis on Infinite Earths?
It's definitely a balancing act, because on one hand you're wanting to get people to know these characters right away, because you're bringing in a ton of new readers. But on the other hand, it's kind of like, I don't know, this is probably way more accepted at this time, this kind of thing. But I'd be like, I don't know, shouldn't you kind of get me into the story first before you start telling me who everybody is? But
I tell you, like when I first got into comics, a couple of times I got those like JSA, JLA team ups with like 30 heroes. And if I didn't know who all the characters were, I would get like angry. So I really love the fact that they did like
really,
Well,
see, I mean, in a weird way, I liked it because one of the first things I used to read were those Marvel Universe handbooks. I used to love poring over those and reading about the characters and their powers and their histories, and I mean, it's just like this one panel is like the entire Marvel Universe handbook.
What does Captain America say? Heads up, look at 4:00. So, on one segment, they could see all the villains show up,
Yeah, Galactus. And Galactus is a lot smaller than I imagined him. In this one, he's a lot smaller. But and Ultron is hilarious.
Ultron is crazy in this. Yeah.
What a great shot, though. That is like such a good team shot of all of them.
F-16 fighter plane for free.
Oh, and of course the ads. We can't forget about the ads.
Model. So this is model. Somebody in the chat asked if this is G.I. Joe. No, this is models. Believe it or not, there was a lot of ads for models back then.
I wonder if that ad for the bag of money is in this one.
Oh yeah, I hope Uncle Adolf ad is in this. But
oh really? I don't know.
Remember in the not Uncle Adolf. Let's go to Adolf's. It was in the Warlock comics. We were goofing on it. It was whatchamacallit store, like a.
Was that at the same time? Like what? Okay, what year is this compared? Like what was Warlock?
This is 10 years later. This is 10 years after Warlock, like 72 to 74. This is 10 years later. So here we got all the bad guys doing the same thing, introducing themselves. Doom is already giving orders. I'm in charge. Yeah,
I didn't know what to think about him at first because I'm like, what are you up to? But yeah, he for me, he steals the show. I love these little shots of the character. I like the lizard there. What is that? You showing off the ad?
Oh, this is
2 free.
2 free dynamic characters come to life. Action posters. You could get Zorcom the Defender versus Tanjar the Dread. And in Space Cruiser soundtrack. So
okay.
This is an audio.
That's
series.
a good ad, though.
Yeah, it's cassette tapes.
Okay.
You guys want some cassette tapes with Zorcom the Defender versus Tanjar the Dread?
You're supposed to listen to the audio tape and stare at the poster, right?
Yeah. Like, did anybody get this? And if so, could you upload this to YouTube? You know, I'm so tempted to send away for old stuff because I always picture like this, just an old guy like, what?
The Matt Barr saying 2 free. I bet you get the posters for free if you buy the cassette tapes, right?
Right, that's what you do. You buy the cassette tape, you get the poster for free. And I love they put an indicia down here to make you think it's like a legit comic. Yeah.
It looks like a comic book page.
Doom is
not like
always
the other
in charge.
ads.
Doom is always in charge. Yeah,
He
I like
is,
that
man.
they didn't notice Galactus standing there. Yeah.
Just his feet.
Controversially, I never liked punk rock Storm. John Byrne's Storm in that flowing cape was the Storm for me. Love cassette tapes. The only real way to listen to audio.
Yeah, I'm kind of missing.
Yet realistic, yet awesome. Yes, I agree. And I love this Ben Grimm over here. What's this guy doing over here? Look at this guy. Like I love like Thing has just no regard. He's just pointing to him like, what is this bum doing over here?
Thing, man.
He should be with the bad guys. Like,
there's definitely a point where the Thing where I was like, why do people like this guy? But that's a good moment right there.
I love Ben Grimm.
I'll tell you the point where I was like, what? This guy's such a sad sack.
You know what's funny is yesterday at Jamaica Station, I have like a 20-minute wait before catching the Long Island Railroad home, and it's so sketchy there. So some homeless guy grabbed me by my arm and goes, "Can you give me $1?" And I just turned around, livid. Like, it's one thing to ask me for money, so nothing to grab me. I got
whoa.
So he must have been talking to me, and I ignored him. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have headphones on. So I just turn around and I look at him. I go, "If you touch me again, I'm going to clobber you." and he just looked at me. And then I saw 2 cops were watching, and I yelled, "Hey, officers, can you come over here and save this guy's life?" And the cops just came running over. And so
you just got all Ben Grimm on that guy.
Yeah, so it's funny because I am Ben Grimm. So today I was telling that story at work, and everybody at work was just laughing. They're like, "What are you, Jackie Gleason? You're going to clobber people? Are you going to 23 Skidoo this guy out the door?" Who talks?
He could have been a crazy knife hobo. He could have been crazy.
I don't know, but they're just like, "You're going to clobber this guy." I was like, I don't know, man. Years of reading Ben Grimm. I'm surprised they didn't say it was a revolting development.
Yeah, exactly.
So I love Magneto over here. He gives a speech, and I remember as a kid, I thought this was brilliant. That Magneto's explaining why he's with the good guys and not the bad guys. You know, he's fighting for a cause. You know, he wants to elevate humanity. It's just that the method's different. Geez, how old was I? I was born in '68, so you know, I don't know. I can't even do the math, but I graduated high school '87, so I'm in junior high school, and I thought this was just like brilliant philosophy. You know,
he goes over this a couple times because they keep calling him a murderer, right? And then later they reference that submarine incident, which I do know, and so but on one hand, this is like a well-written villain because I agree with him, and he is a murderer. You know, it's like he can be both.
Yeah. Yeah, 1968. Yeah, I'm a fossil. Born in. Oh, yeah, you're so much younger than me. Yeah, you're practically a baby.
Shadowpunk. Yeah, I was born in '75.
You were born in '75.
Yeah, I just look as old as you. I'm not.
It's funny because I think 1975 is the first year I remember. So here we go.
You're welcome. That was because of my birth. Yeah.
There was a strange shuddering, And not a lot of people know this. I've seen baby pictures. Kelsey was born with the full beard.
Yes.
Full beard. And his first thing he said was, "Light me up." And he started smoking.
I rose from the swamp, fully formed, like Swamp Thing. That's another one we need to get into, maybe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Micronauts, I keep bringing up.
Oh, yeah, Micronauts, yeah. All right, so this was cool. This is where I was like, whoa.
Gratuitous display of power over here.
Yeah.
Like this universe is like being pulled from the void, and they're like, what's going? Look at Iron Man's face. He's like, holy crap. Even Thor, who's used to the Odin Force, the whole
they're like forming a planet, right?
Yeah,
He's like,
the whole galaxy is like just crushed, and bits and pieces are forming into Battle World. Even Doom is like, what the?
He looks pretty freaked out.
And I love this. The Absorbing Man is just like bumps into Otto Octavius, and they start fighting. Listen, you butthead, I crush a Creel, the Absorbing Man, with the powers. He has to announce himself. Was watching the show outside, but you keep bumping into me. Yeah.
I was just like, give me a break. I was so like bitter at this point, and then it had to charm me. It had to charm me.
Look at this ad. Ventriloquist.
Oh, wait, let me see. Oh, what is he doing to that girl?
I don't know, but there's a creepy little clown. Yeah, that's not going to murder you. Yeah.
No.
$3. Oh, get murdered. Only $3 plus postage.
Haunted doll. It could be yours.
Charles Atlas ad is reduced to this. The greatest ad in all of comic books. Hey, Sand of the Beach, Hero of the Beach is reduced to that.
They figure these comic nerds ain't going to get into this. Let's just do a little.
Yeah, you could definitely see how the back in the Jim Starlin, there was a lot of ads for footballs, bicycles.
Even he was a very active guy. Was he always?
Now it's modeling, ventriloquist dummies. A little bit of muscle.
After
10 years later, it's all video games.
Yeah, they're like, after you read this, go out and play. And now it's just stay inside and
stay inside, play a video game. And I love this. Now Ultron's just going berserk.
I love that shot of Absorbing Man and Dr. Octavius getting blasted.
This is one of the shots that I always remember. Just
yeah.
Sometimes like when a superhero or a villain shoots a blast, it looks like it hurts. Like anybody else with a different power probably would have been taken out, but the Absorbing Man just absorbs it. I love that.
And Ultron is annoying, man. He was cool in the movie. I'll give him that. I did like him in the movie, but he was like lame until later. Well, we'll get to that part in issue 2, or maybe into this one. But I got to mention that the color in this one, stay right there. Sure. I'm going to show you something.
Do you have the trade paperback?
No. Well, I guess it is the trade paperback.
You have digital.
Look at how this is colored. See how they missed this spot? That's not missing on yours. See this little section right here with blue.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
It looks so much better in the original comic book than this.
I say that over and over and over.
I know.
I bought the hardcover omnibus of Jack Kirby's Fourth World, and I'm so mad I did. I think I'd rather spend the money and get the original comics. I can't deal with the modern coloring on old-fashioned comics.
Yeah, there's times when I like it, when they do it well. Like I've seen some of the Kirby stuff, but every time I see it with that newsprint, it just looks so much better.
Right. It's like when they take old comics and reprint them into a trade paperback or an omnibus. To me, it's like they take the worst of both worlds.
Well, I honestly think they recolored this based on that, because you saw how they missed that little splotch of the background between Dr. Octopus's arm and the Absorbing Man in this one, but I'm seeing it on yours, and it's not that way.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder if they recolored it.
I think they do recolor it. Or
such a shame.
Look at that. Cam said that Ultron is so creepy. Look at that. Isn't that?
It looks so good. It looks so much better there than it does in mine.
So cool. Again, this panel I can marvel at over and over and over again. Just
How much do you think these issues cost now?
Oh, I don't even know. Anybody want to look them up?
Because like, if I wanted to like do you think they ever made facsimile editions, or it's probably not? There's 12 of them, so
I don't know. Like I don't pay attention to that stuff because
yeah,
you know? And I love this. Doom is ordering the Molecule Man. Like you got to do something. This guy's made out of adamantium, so we can't do anything. What do we got here? Marvel Super Mart comic book conventions. There we go.
What?
Yeah, ads for comic book. Boston, Chicago, and Detroit. Giant.
I would love to go back in time to some of those old comic conventions. The ones where like Wendy Pini is dressed like Red Sonja, and Frank Thorne is like some wizard, and they're doing like plays in the middle of the convention and stuff. Oh,
yeah,
that would have been great.
Awesome. Yeah, no. There's 30 Red Sonjas, and they look like they look good in their Red Sonja outfits. You know,
they look great. Yeah. There's great photos of that stuff.
Yeah, Wendy Pini. You know, it's funny because I grew up seeing all those pictures. You know, and then I read ElfQuest, and I'd say probably only about 10 years ago did I realize that was her. I was like,
oh yeah,
what a Richard Pini, good job, man.
ElfQuest was one of those that I did get into early on. I read a bit of it. It kind of like was one of those that managed to transport me, you know. And I used to love reading things that would like transport me to another world. So then when I saw her as Red Sonja, I was like, homina.
I know. Look, issue number 1 is $36. There you go.
Oh, that's not that bad. I might
bad.
Be able to put together myself a little set.
Zaktan, I'm not the secret millionaire. I'm irresponsible with my money. Just ask my wife.
No, he's just been collecting over a year. He bought these. Well, how much was this? 75 cents?
I bought this off the newsstand, guys. You know what I mean? Like, I think I talked about this. My mom would give me $1 a day for lunch money, and you know what I mean? For most of the time, a pizza bagel was $0.25. So I get 2 pizza bagels. That was 50 cents. And then chocolate milk was $0.10, and I would have 40 cents. So I would get a comic book every day. You know, by this time, I think I was in junior high school. So I think I would get like $2 for lunch.
See, maybe it means you're sitting on $1 million worth of comic books. See, this is where it ends it for me. I'm like 150 for issue 8, but number 1 was what, $65, $35?
I'm skipping over your comment because Kelsey didn't read them yet. He only read issue 1 and 2, so he doesn't know why issue 8 is $150.
Oh, okay.
So I love this. Dr. Doom.
All right, I won't read the comment.
He's arguing with Owen Reese. I just always love that secret identity, Owen. And then meanwhile, Galactus is just observing all this nonsense. You know. I mean, again, Dr. Doom's just taking charge, man. He was my hero in this whole series. In the 2 issues I've read so far, Dr. Doom was my hero of this. I'm like, yeah, tell that guy get a snap out of it, loser. You know, use your powers. We need your help. So the Molecule Man, if you remember, his biggest problem was like confidence. So Dr. Doom is telling him to do something, and Owen Reese is panicking. The Molecule Man is panicking, and Galactus. Okay. I remember thinking that this was uncharacteristic of Galactus, that he would actually take action. But now I realize that Galactus is probably in the first time in his existence, he's just like, there's something more powerful than me, like significantly more powerful than me. And now I got to deal with this thing. Like Galactus is probably aggravated right now. Yeah,
you just wouldn't know it because he always looks the same. But yeah, he probably is. But I love that because I was not liking Ultron here. And then I got this little moment where he just gets zapped, and I was like, "Oh yeah, okay."
Yeah, Galactus just pulls his energy out and consumes him, and then look, there's almost like almost an expression on his face, you know?
Yeah.
And then they're all just like, "What the?" You know, they were kind of ignoring Galactus. Like Galactus got directly involved. You know, the wrecking crew was like, "What are we doing, standing in the same floor with Galactus?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're bank robbers.
Yeah, exactly. They're in trouble.
And I love this over here. a split in the universe, and this like holy godlike light comes out from beyond.
Again, the color and I love the art, and the color is just so great. It's so simple and perfect.
Look at Colossus over here. You know, Colossus. I love this because in the X-Men, Colossus was like a big part of him is that he's an atheist. There is no God. And now look at him. He's like, his whole like belief system is really like, I don't know if Jim Shooter meant this or if it was just like one of those happy coincidences. But here you have like an atheist who has to undeniable proof that there is something. Is this God? Like for all he knows, this is God about to talk.
Doesn't he become religious?
I don't know. I don't know. Does anybody read modern?
I always thought he was, because I know he's an artist, and he gosh man, for some reason I thought he was like a Russian Orthodox kind of.
No, he was an atheist. I remember he was yelling at Nightcrawler in that X-Men annual when they went to hell, Dante's Inferno.
Oh, okay.
Like,
we know Nightcrawler
is torture people like this. You know, and I love that. It was two diametrically opposed.
Yeah, because he's hardcore Catholic, right. Nightcrawler. Yeah,
but it wasn't like, this is what I believe, you're wrong. It was too. You know, Chris Claremont really had a good back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah, because that makes a little more sense, because he's brother of Magic. So Magic is, I mean, it'd be hard to be a Christian and be Magic, I guess.
Oh, I brought this up and then didn't respond to it. Yeah, the Wrecking Crew's powers was Loki or the Enchantress. I forget which one. Like they changed the crowbar, gave it to the Wrecker, and then the Wrecker shares his power with the Wrecking Crew. So I always wondered, do they get more weak the more people that are on the Wrecking Crew? Nightcrawler was a Catholic priest, and then they had to get rid of that because they can't have a Catholic priest in the comic book these days. The Russians have that deep Christian tradition. Pre-Soviet saw that. Yeah. Hey, my friend Paul. My friend Paul's here.
Hello.
How you doing, Paul? Good to see you. Have a good day, Paul. Paul's hard at work rebuilding my forum that went kaput. I've had a role-playing Villains Vigilantes forum for like 20 years, and it's so old that the last upgrade, you know, a mandatory upgrade to all of these messages, it killed it. It just
wow.
So Paul is Frankensteining it with something else. So yeah,
I didn't think they still had message boards.
No,
you're one of the last holdouts.
I was called a fossil. Now.
Yeah. So this is the page right before. That's of course the Beyonder. Let's kind of or I guess is it the Beyonder?
Yes, the Beyonder.
Yeah.
Slay
I am from
enemies,
beyond.
All that you desire will be yours. Nothing you dream of is impossible for me to accomplish. And the Recker's just like, he ain't lying. I know he's telling the truth. I can feel it. Crusher Creel is just like, they're like,
what a great name, Crusher Creel.
Yeah, the Absorbing Man. Like, we all have a comic book character that like nobody else likes, and that's my guy. Like the Absorbing Man. I love the Absorbing Man. I jealously protect the Absorbing Man to the point where like I don't want him to be in other comics anymore because I don't want other people to like him. He's my guy. You know what? The people watching this could like him. We're the proper comic book people.
Yeah,
I don't want my friend's girlfriend to show up at a party wearing a Crusher Creel t-shirt. That was the moment that I knew that Harley Quinn jumped the shark. When I had a party and my friend's Normie wife showed up with a Harley Quinn t-shirt.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, Harley Quinn.
It's entered Normie territory.
Yeah, she's gone.
So Galactus is colored very differently in your book than it is in mine.
Right, because that light is shining on everybody. The Beyonder's like holy light is still beaming on them. You see, you got this light, so they are in the path of the light.
Look, mine is colored pretty much like Galactus is supposed to be colored.
Yeah, so he's flying into the light of the Beyonder. And he's just like, hear me, Galactus. I sense that you are truly a being from beyond the universe, this multiverse. I could sense the energies, and I know you could take the hunger from me. You could, you could end this senseless, monstrous craving for the very essence of the world. Let it be done.
I think it's the most I've ever heard Galactus talk in a comic.
You know, and of course Doom goes right after him. Boom. You know, the Beyonder's super powerful, Galactus is powerful, Doom's like, whatever they're doing, I gotta be in on it.
Yeah, that's what I was starting to get intrigued. Like, what are you doing? You know, like he's just, because I didn't know Doom very well. You know, I just seen him in various things, movies, cartoons, you know, some comics. But yeah, he was really like going his own way. And I loved it.
Doom's not a follower.
Yeah,
he's not so I love this. He puts this force field on, and he's like riding in the wake of Galactus, you know, and Galactus is trying to penetrate the Beyond, and just look at this. Oh,
yeah. I mean, Galactus is like pretty hard up, man. He's just like
it almost makes you feel sympathetic for Galactus. Like,
yeah, in a weird way, it does.
You know, what is his greatest desire? That he doesn't have to destroy anymore. He could just be,
which is really great. Honestly, it's really wild.
Yeah, Doom's desire is he wants to rule. You know, everybody else is like, what does the Crusher want? Like infinite money? You know,
yeah, he just wants his, you know, immediate pleasures satisfied. I guess that's it.
Yeah. Like Dr. Octopus is just like, everybody's like, you're the best. You're the, you know, like he just wants
right. He just wants to be acknowledged.
You know, and you know, and if Magneto succeeds, there's going to be harmony between. Actually, I think Magneto would have the mutants ruling. You know, like, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, probably. He seems like a guy that wants a little payback too.
Yeah.
You know,
but Galactus, out of all of them, he doesn't want to kill anymore. He doesn't. You know, it's like a vampire who wants to be cured of his vampirism or something.
He must have killed millions and millions and millions at this point.
Serial killer in the history of the universe.
Yeah.
You know, this is my first comics event. Yeah, this was all of our first. And I think they rushed this out before Crisis on Infinite Earth so that this could be the first big company-wide crossover. Oh, Cam says his character's Man Bull. That's who he's
Man Bull.
Yeah. The absorbing his powers like trash. Yeah, the absorbing man, for those of you who don't know, whatever he touches, he becomes. So if he touches steel, he becomes steel. So when Ultron shot him with that energy blast, he should have became cascading energy. I still got.
You got me wondering who my character is. That everybody. I have to think about that. I've had a few favorites that nobody cared about. I have to think about that.
Yeah, I agree. Magneto. Yeah, the mutants would be the upper class, and the humans would be. It would be like the House of M. So I love this. So all the heroes, all the villains are watching Galactus. Just gets
spit
defeated.
Right out.
Look at them. It's just like this thing just took out Galactus, which is smart for so many reasons. Because think about this: there would be no fight. Galactus would just snap his fingers. Everybody's defeated, and he gets what he wants. And
that's what I was thinking when he started yelling at the Beyonder. I was like, "Holy crap! He's just going to turn around and win the fight and get what he wants." But I'm like, you can't have 12 issues like that. So
yeah, so this was a smart way to deal with the Galactus problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now everybody's landing. And another thing I like about this, well, I'll talk about it a little later, but you know, yeah, I'll say it now because I'm thinking of it now and I'm excited. This is such a little kid idea. Just think about it. Just think about this, Kelsey. You're 12 years old. You're 11 years old. You got all your action figures. What did you do? You had them fight each other. You didn't have a backstory. This is just superhero action figures fighting each other. Boom! We throw in the Beyonder to give them a reason to fight. But this is a perfect toy tie-in comic book.
Well, it's funny because I've described kind of the way I'd like to do my book is that, you know, I'm kind of bored of all this story structure, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really, I just want to smash my toys together. And it's funny you say that because I've had that thought myself. This is perfect for that.
Yeah. Been so long since I seen it. I forgot how good the art is, even though it's just a comic. Yeah. Yeah. You know, Jim, I say this and nobody gets mad. I'm exaggerating. They know where I'm saying. But the Jim Shooter era of Marvel Comics was the high point. Even, you know, as much as I love the Jack Stan Lee and as much as I love the John Buscema, maybe I'm a little tainted because this is when I was like this was
age,
you know.
Yeah, right.
You know,
this is your era. You know, this is your time.
And we got Reed. You know, just everybody stretching around. And
All the group shots are so great. You know, Zach is handling all these group shots so perfectly.
And they're just like, why do we have Magneto over here? Like, we got to deal with the Magneto problem, you know?
Yeah, this is fascinating because, you know, at first I'm like, they're going to have to fight the bad guys. But no, they're going to fight each other when they started getting really mad at each other here because the X-Men, they take up for Magneto.
Right.
But rightly so, because they need his power in this situation. But I was kind of like, wow, they're defending Magneto against the Avengers.
The X-Men have always been their own worst enemy.
Yeah, right.
X-Men, you know why people persecute mutants? Because of the X-Men.
Just blame them.
It's the X-Men's fault. If you guys just followed the rules, nobody would have a problem with the X-Men.
But it's really interesting because it really illustrates the difference between the Avengers and the X-Men. The X-Men are, they're actually thinking about the situation thanks to Professor X. They're thinking about the logic of what's happening. The Avengers don't care. They're just right from wrong. You know,
right?
We shall defeat evil.
I just love these classic costumes. Like, I don't know, the Cyclops, just the blue with the yellow gloves. I call that the IKEA costume. It's just simple, elegant, you know.
Everything about
how
this.
Everybody stands next to the Human Torch. Could you imagine if, like, I burst into flames? You wouldn't be in the same room with me, you know.
Yeah, everything on your shelf behind you'd be melting.
Yeah, just think of how hot that would be, you know. He does draw Colossus a little too slight for my liking. I like Colossus to be a little bit bigger.
Well, even Johnny Storm jumps in. Yeah, he's like, you guys talk about it. I'll go ahead and take care of him. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what is comics? Was it Claremont asked Shooter for a face turn since he wanted him to take over for? Oh yeah. Never mind that you just killed 10,000 people over in the Soviet Union. You could lead the X-Men. That's what I'm talking about. The X-Men. I still talk about that X-Men. Magneto goes on trial before the World Court, and the X-Men break him out. He's not going to get a fair trial. Well, the trial's not over yet. You know, why don't you wait till the trial's over with before you declare you ain't going to get a So I love. I for some reason I always love that like magnetic field that they draw around him.
Yeah, but they again that stilted dialogue where it's like he's flying. Magnetic repulsion. He apparently can ride the lines of force, the literal lines of force. But again, like you say, they're all these kids are seeing the toys and then they get in there, read the comic book. People
watching this, is anybody in the chat? Is this their first comic? Did anybody get into comics because of this? I could see that must have happened a lot. And then Reed Richards explaining everything, just look at the dialogue. Look at how much dialogue. Look at this panel. The people are tiny to the point. Who is that? I don't even know who that is standing.
Which one? The guy in the white suit?
Yeah, who is that?
Oh, that's Storm. That's not a guy.
Is that Storm?
Yeah, that's Storm.
Oh, okay. She is colored. Okay.
Who doesn't look like she has a top on. Just her breasts are hanging out.
It's Battle World is a little humid.
Right.
You got to deal with those humidities.
She does like getting naked, so it's appropriate.
Captain America's deal, the two leaders over here, like you can't get more like different flavors of leadership. Captain America, right and wrong, and then Xavier is just like, well, everybody's got a point. Well, Xavier would defend Jeffrey Dahmer at this point,
But I like how Xavier recognizes that they all recognize that Cap, except for Wolverine, Cap should be the leader because, as Xavier puts it, he can read men's hearts as well, and he's the purest of them all.
He's the least of us. He can't do anything. I won't follow, which to me is out of character. To me, I think like Wolverine.
It seemed a little odd, yeah.
You write it off as like Beyonder's messing with people, that's you kind of just except the inconsistencies in characterization.
Yeah. But Thor, you know, when Thor says he will,
right,
you know,
then it's settled. You know.
Yep.
I live. I love this. Dr. Doom's just hanging out between Galactus's legs. I have seen the ultimate nullifier.
Yeah, right. It's right between his legs.
There it is. There's the cosmic spheres. And he finds this like Miami mansion. You know, I love this.
Yeah, this is a little convenient, but and then excuse me. And like everybody's there. That's a sweet pad though. Yeah.
Look at the coloring. Now, Kelsey, I know you do a lot of your own colored. How would you have colored this panel?
Well, this is the thing. Since I've been looking at a lot of older comics, I would have colored that all like, you know, I would have colored him up and added shading, and I would have made him dark like that to bring him really into the foreground and have the background and all that. But he's just colored in one tone.
Right.
You know, it's just that one color blue. And that's something I've been trying to do a lot more of lately, because I find it to be actually easier to look at than all this airbrush rendering, comic book, fancy pants coloring. Just that one color, and then you let the black of the inks be the ultimate value, and the white, you know, the whites and the blacks be the ultimate values of it. I don't know. It reads so much better to me, that one color. I don't know about you.
I do think these old hand painting color, mostly women at Marvel and DC, I think they knew what they were doing. Like it, this is going to sound like I'm talking trash, and I'm not talking trash, but like sometimes I look at Cyberfrog and as much as I love what's his name's coloring, I can't.
Kyle. Yeah, I mean,
sometimes I wish you would tone it down a bit, because you know, Ethan's so detailed, and then every little thing gets its own color. Sometimes my eyes can't differentiate what I'm looking at.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. It's like I'm so guilty of that myself, because with Photoshop and digital coloring, it's very easy to go that way, and everything has been going that way. It's almost like if you don't do that, you're not finishing it or something. Or, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, this is old looking. So there's this tendency to want to have that, you have to do that. But lately I've been wanting to backtrack, and I'm like, to me, if we've lost kind of sight of what comics should look like,
right? Like,
you know, and this looks like comics.
just imagine, you know, you got you and Mike Barron got Nexus the Scourge coming out. Could you imagine if you opened it and there was a panel colored like this?
There might be. I kept it pretty simple in that one.
Give you hell, or do you think people would understand what you were doing?
Well, I've polled the audience enough now, to at least the audience within our sphere of comic bookdom. You know, there is a large portion of people that kind of want more of that old school look. I've rarely had pushback on that, you know, when I'm questioning about this stuff. So I'm excited. I'm going a lot more in this direction in the future.
I do love your colors. You know, I mean, you're known as an artist, but I do love your colors. I think. Thank you.
Oh, I've always been known as a colorist, honestly, for years and years and years. So it's nice to be known as an artist now and a colorist.
I first discovered you on the Crusaders.
Oh yeah, far out.
When I remember looking at that Crusaders run, and I'm going, if I ever make a comic book, this is the guy. I want it to look like this.
Well, the writer and I, we intentionally went old school. You know, we were wanting to make something classic, and we were prepared to go on that book for 10 years. We were like, let's buckle in, let's do it. And now they canceled it after like 4 issues, something like that.
I have such a soft spot for those characters.
Yeah. Oh, they were so fun.
Yeah.
I'll do it again if Archie, if you're watching. I know you guys, Mark Perlito, you guys, if you're still there.
Look at all the green. All the characters have green. And I wonder if that had something to do, because, you know, Dr. Octopus doesn't really have green. I don't know. Just the coloring on Doom's mask.
That is fantastic. Yeah. And that's 2 colors. Well, the red in the background the green for the outfit, and then the gray, and then that white is just the white.
I got to pull it back because I just like I keep talking about how like the background colors is almost like a lost art. Look at this. I mean, you could say it because it's an alien planet, but like yellow, then we got red. Why? Why not? Who cares? It's Battle World. And then over here, yellow again, and then orange, white. But the only reason
you can see the characters immediately, though.
Right, it differentiates each panel. Like again, if you know, I'm not trying to bust on anybody, but a lot of this modern color, they don't realize that you got to have a differentiation of panels. Otherwise, even with the gutters, I have a hard time, especially now that they don't seem to have thick gutters anymore. Like a lot of modern colors, it's just a box, it's just a line, and then the colors bleed. And
it's harder to see,
but I don't want to. I'm not here to hurt anybody's feelings. But
well, I mean, I see a lot of colors, a lot like the writing. Like if you've ever read like Alan Moore's 1963, it's stilted kind of dialogue like this, but way more advanced, and like he knows what he's doing. And I think a lot of colorists now, and I think they're doing it here too. But like, you want those color moments to be motivated, like the red behind Doom would signify that he's saying something intense right then, right? You know, I think they're doing that here, honestly.
Almost like this yellow orange because the Molecule Man's a coward. I didn't even think of that. You know?
Yeah. See, I think they were a lot smarter about this stuff back then than we give them credit for. But I mean, I love that line about Doom. He's like, the prize. Is that all you think about? And then he lays into him. He's like, there's so much more. I mean, this is such a great scene. This is when I really started getting into what
Doom
was
is
going
like
on.
limited scopes. You're going to fight. You're going to kill all the heroes for what? For money?
Yeah.
For a life of leisure? It's like Doom's like, I got all of that, and it's not enough.
He's like the key to totality, you know, immortality near at hand. I mean, this is so much bigger.
Universe, guys. We are at unlocking. We could have the ultimate knowledge, ultimate power, and what you want? Gold? Like this, you know, I'm ashamed to be with you people.
Old Dirty Fatty's got it right there. He says every part of a comic must serve the storytelling. I agree.
Yes. Mm-hmm. The audience is getting educated. That's the side effect.
Or are they educating us?
This is just two geeks talking. We're playing comics right now. That's best colorist is Barry Windsor Smith. I'm not going to argue with you.
I love that stuff. Yeah, he's really great.
Matter of fact, that's what I was talking about. Fat Kid Rogers. Whenever, like, he told us we had to get X-Men 198. He was like, "This is Barry Windsor Smith. This guy's a legend." You know.
Oh, is that the snow one with?
I think 198's the one with Storm on the cover. You know, she's got that mohawk in the rain.
Is she in Africa in that episode?
Yeah,
there was like a few that I remember that are just outstanding. He did this one. I'll tell you. I think I might have thought of my character, and I can't think of his name, but. Man, I used to know his name all the time. Forge.
Oh, Forge is yours?
I think because I used to always love reading his issues, and Barry Windsor Smith did a bunch of those. Like, and he had this crazy glass house, penthouse. He had that robot leg. I don't know anything about him really.
Stairs. I always thought that was the coolest thing. He had these floating glass stairs.
Yeah, and then he made like the X-Jet and stuff like that, right? Wasn't he the guy that put all that stuff together? Yeah, Forge.
Such a cool power. The mutant ability to design and build whatever you want. You know?
Yeah, I kind of dig that.
So he has to be a better engineer than Iron Man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because Iron Man is known as the powerhouse superhero, but like if his only thing is designing weapons, then he's got to be a better engineer. So I love this. Doom is just like, you're all a bunch of pedestrian fools, you know. Power blast from his gauntlets. I love that he yells that.
I know that. I thought that was so cheesy, but I didn't care because this is when I started not caring about the dialogue and just going with it because
just
the moment was so cool. And I was like, this guy.
Is this the original cool guys walking away from explosions?
Yeah, dude. It was awesome. I was so into this at this moment.
And I love this. He's just like, I'm going to get into this spaceship and take off. And who notices? Kang.
Yeah, freaking Kang, man. With his, of course, he explains his giant gun. Look at the simplicity and the beauty of that panel of Kang.
Oh yeah,
with the ship going off and then the gun in the foreground.
Yeah, and you don't even you just see a silhouette, and it totally works. But I got to get back to this.
Yeah.
Power blast from his gauntlet. Can you imagine if like I attacked you, and Kelsey right before getting shot, he's pulling the trigger on his gun.
Yeah, exactly.
or me and you are at his house. Kelsey is eating a sandwich. Like he's narrating.
I'll be like, "What are you talking about, man?"
Of course. What else do you want me to do with this sandwich?
I'll be like, "Fool!
Oh, the sandwich is mine and mine alone, and only I shall devour its intrinsic goodness." That'll be fun. Let's have a next comic book. Let's only talk in comic book cliches.
Yeah, we shall endear ourselves to speaking of comic book language. No.
Let's get real. The art and comics change to this days. Both are good, but the coloring don't work the same with different styles. The greatness with old comics, they do wonders. Yes, I'm a big fan, Oscar. First off, Oscar did some coloring on my comic. Oscar's available for work. He's extremely professional, extremely quick, at great rates. But
nice.
I agree with what he says. Like art through adversary and limitations does force you to become creative. Like the example I always give is when your teacher says, you have an essay due Friday about what? Whatever you want. We all sat there till Thursday night going, what do I want to write about? But if the teacher said, I want you to write about the 4th of July, we would start writing. But you know what I mean? Like, I
do this with the color. I used to just color pick just from the color picker where I can pick any kind of color I wanted. And for the last several years, I've been using the DC 130 something color palette or whatever. I liked it because it had a little more than this old school Marvel palette, but I only use those colors in the palette. So I have to make it work with just that same. I did all of Nexus Scourge that way. Every color you see in that book is from that period where they had only the 130. So I can't remember exactly how many colors it is. But
are you still watching Fabrizio Aiello? We were talking about. He colors his own comic, and he has a purposely limited color palette.
Yeah, it's for that reason. It kind of makes you think outside figure it out within what you have.
He is the closest to old style comics. I mean,
let me see. You got to go full screen
for a second.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, I love this comic.
Horace H.
Yeah, he's got a vacuum cleaner on his head.
Ah, that's great looking.
Yeah. Oh, my hand I'm trying to move my hand and I'm doing it backwards. So I'm moving the wrong hand. Yeah. He's got 3 issues.
Loquat.
He's got 3 issues out. Oh, there we go. 3 issues out of 5 so far.
Fun.
Great guy, interesting comic.
Is it funny? Because it kind of it makes me think of Bob Burden a little bit, and a little bit of like Ben Edlund kind of stuff.
It's he's an occult investigator in like the 20s in Manhattan. So it's like everything I like. It's like a occult investigations, kind of superheroes, kind of Lovecraft, and a little bit of detective. It's there's no other comic like it. The closest, and I only say that because I can't think of anything else. Is Hellboy, in the 30s. So I guess Fabrizio's not watching anymore. He would.
I love Hellboy.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Oddly, Hoover doesn't suck. Yeah, I know. He's got and he's so good with dialogue. He's so good with dialogue. That only have 16 colors. Today we have 60 million, but we need a good. Yeah. Infinite choices, like right now we can get whatever we want for dinner, and then me and my wife sit there for 40 minutes like, what do we want? I don't know. Or what do you want to watch? And then you go through Netflix. There's 90. Back when there was 13 channels, I always found something to watch. Back
right.
74. Next thing you know, I'm watching the Rockford Files and loving.
Oh no, dude! When they started doing those hundreds of channels for cable, I would just flip.
Right.
That's what I did, and I actually do that with Netflix. I honestly will spend. I don't do it anymore because I just don't care anymore. But I used to just flip through, look at all the movies, and by the time I was like, nah, I don't really feel like watching anything because I just, I spent all that time looking for something,
adding it to your wish list, but never actually watching it.
Yeah. I was looking up the color palette from this time period to see how in the 80s.
Look at
how
Jim
many
Shooter.
colors there
This
were.
guy was a giant.
He was crazy. He was like Frankenstein, that guy.
And then, so Dr. Doom is flying away. They just blow up his ship. Boom.
Yeah, I thought that they were going to play that off like like we weren't going to find out about him until like later, but nah, he shows up right away.
Look at this. Now Captain America's calling for order.
Such great shots.
They're all using their own various locomotions to get where they need to be. Look at Spider-Man. Just
woo. And of course, Grim. How humiliating. Like, shut up, you.
Yeah, there's Doom just all beat up.
This spread, man, is so great. That page on the right is just insane. I love all of this.
Doom is like humbled. We are but bacteria. We're nothing but dust.
Doom needs the aid of no man.
Yeah, just blast them. I may be dust, but I'm not helpless dust.
Yeah.
And then boom.
And where the hell did they get this machine?
Don't ask.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And then we got this ad. This ad always disturbed me as a kid.
Oh, that's not good. Oh, no. Hulk is the New Year baby? No.
Advanced Dungeons Dragons video game. Look at that, kids. That's what I got as video games, and I loved it.
That was my jam. I used to love that ad, actually. I don't know why, but yeah, I was into some of those. That cover is freaking insane. So good.
Mexul, I need to reread this. Oh, yes, Daredevil Punisher. Yeah. Look at this. Now we got issue number 2. We're just going to do 2 issues for tonight because it's already 9:45.
Yeah, he's got work tomorrow.
Yeah.
So do I, actually. But not that it's much like work. Not like he does. I love this cover, though. His pose, man.
This cover? Yeah.
Yeah, I love his pose there. He looks so powerful. Mike Zeck drew powerful guys, man.
So it's the same credits, so I'm not going to go through the credits with the same people.
Yeah.
And then we got, we're under attack. Thanks, Reed.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah.
Smartest man in the world, my ass. I'm breathing oxygen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Richards. Prisoners of War.
And of course, Cyclops, heads up, this is it. I don't know. He just seemed like he's real together, that guy, I think, at this point.
Well,
until he starts whining later.
Yeah, but before they ruined him, Cyclops was like, I always had a thing for those heroes that were like tightly wound because their powers were so dangerous they couldn't afford to let loose, like Cyclops or Black Bolt.
He strikes you, like, especially in this, as kind of like Captain America, like a little more whiny, but kind of Captain America, like he just takes charge kind of guy.
And he's like a perfect foil for Wolverine. Wolverine is
straight lace. He's straight
Wolverine,
lace.
how you going today? How's it going? I ought to kill you. Come down.
It's clobbering time, like you did with that bub.
The cops are like, get this guy away from that lunatic. Hopefully that lunatic will get on a train and go to Long Island and never come back. So I love this.
This is fantastic.
The way he draws these, like, it's like the guns don't just fire a laser. The guns fire a goddamn explosion. It's boom. You know what I mean? Look at that gun. It's just blowing everything up.
And I kind of like how it's just a big wide shot where you get to see everything in one go. And it's not overly detailed. It's not all these backgrounds and makes it hard to see. It's very clear. It's so great. And the color is beautiful. I mean, I love it.
And you believe everybody got hit. That's why it's so big. Yeah, Kang is blasting away too.
Even Thor's like flying away all dainty up there. Look at it. Look at him.
Oh yeah. Whoa. Hulk is taking blasts. Colossus is already out. Oh, I forgot Lockheed was in this.
This was kind of the point where I was wondering if Jim Shooter was doing layouts, because like I'd never seen Zach. I've looked at these books for years, so I'm well familiar with what is Zach's work in it. I've never read them, but I was wondering, because it's so different than every other Zach thing I've ever seen. It was making me wonder if Shooter, in his clarity of everything, was designing this. Because I mean, look how perfectly kind of visible everybody is. Even between Cap's legs, you got Spider-Man flying through there. I mean,
and don't forget, Shooter did draw comics too. He drew some early issues of his of Legion of Superheroes.
Oh, where are you at? Is that the next one? Oh, okay, that's the next one. Yeah.
This is Hulk. Hulk is picking up a giant yodel, and he's gonna
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, some. Is that those with the crispy outside and the cream center things?
Pure deliciousness.
Yeah.
and I will say that the world has gone downhill since they took him out of the tin foil and put him in plastic.
Oh.
Yeah. And I love this. They just blast the rock out of the Hulk. You know, Reed Richards is protecting Xavier and Rogue. You know, Rogue hasn't done a damn thing yet, and Rogue is super powerful. And then again, look at that blast. Kang is just firing explosions. You know, he's not shooting you with a laser gun. He's firing goddamn explosions at Iron Man.
Well, as many characters. You say that Rogue hasn't done anything yet, but they're juggling so many characters, and I am impressed that so many have gotten to do something already.
Yeah.
And then back to Doom. Oh, this is the recap. This is the classic Shooter recap page. Wait, what are you looking at? Oh, yeah. That's
Marcus says that Shooter would write his comics by drawing them out when he was a kid. Marcus, can you get the links for Fabrizio Aiello's Horace H. Hoover? I talked about it a few times. It would be nice if people could check out the comics for themselves. Just such a good comic. So now Doom is just flying around, and then Doom is reminiscing. Remember last issue when but you have to do.
Who are you talking to, Doom? Victor.
Yeah, you have to do this. It's just one of those comic book things, because how many people didn't get issue number 1? Because again, we forget. This was still a newsstand. 1984 comic book stores weren't this common.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a lot of people, they didn't see number 1. They missed it. Yeah. You have to.
I am impressed that he didn't do it on the first page, though. You know, he saved it for Doom when Doom shows back up. I thought that was pretty good.
We're live. F in the chat. We're live. We're absolutely live. Nexus Scourge. I heard those guys made a good comic book.
I hope so. I'll leave that up to you guys.
Look at this ad for Cookie Crisp.
Hulk like his Cookie Crisp. Of course, he's smart now. He's kind of a jerk in this one. What is he's like? I'll be led by him. I don't need to be led by you. Oh, we'll see him later saying stuff like that.
I think I saw that Hulk of the 80s. Yes, this is 1984. I found my comics in. What is that? Is that the name of your local store, Oscar?
HEB. Yeah, it's not Hebe. Don't worry. It's HEB.
So I love this. Doom is just obsessed with Galactus. Like, Doom. He already has his heart's desire. Doom. Like he rules a country. He's.
It's not enough, man. It's not enough.
He wants the ultimate. Like Doom doesn't like it that there's something that he doesn't know. So look at Galactus. Galactus just rises to his feet. He doesn't stagger up. And now
he's impressed. Doom's impressed right then.
Galactus is focused. He's not even paying attention to Doom. Like, is he aware of Doom and just doesn't care, or is he like just Doom is focused? Galactus is focused.
But see, this is when I knew it was on, because he's like, at first he was like really upset. He's like, man, he didn't even pay me no attention. But then he's like, well, maybe there's some cool stuff in here I could play with,
And then we got some primitive first school video games, Pac-Man, Centipede, and Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah, played all of those.
Atari.
I had the Atari, all the Ataris, the 3600.
Oh, big grocery store. Okay.
Huh?
Oscar,
yeah, big grocery store. Yeah, HEB.
I wonder if they ever made a character called Captain Exposition.
I mean, I got my comics from 7-Eleven, from the Albertsons, from just everywhere I can find them. And then eventually I had a really great store in Texas there, you know.
Is that where you grew up, Texas?
Yeah, that's where I got into comics, I think. That's during the late 80s, I think, is when I really started getting into it. So
where do you live now? What state?
Louisiana. I bounce back and forth. Those are my two home states, Texas and Louisiana.
Oh, you got good andouille sausage out there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can't find it in New York.
Can't make jambalaya without no andouille sausage. I'll have to send you a care package.
Oh there's a restaurant by me called Big Daddy's, and it's the only place I go to that has good andouille. Like they have this like prepackaged stuff that you can get in any supermarket. It's freaking disgusting, you know. So
you can just get it anywhere here. It just you can get boudin, which is like, it's kind of like a sausage, but it's filled with like spicy rice and, you know, sausage, things like that, or whatever. You can get that in a gas station here. I mean,
wow. So, you know, Dr. Doom's taking out the drones, you know, go back, and
he was so badass. I was so into this. I'm like, yeah.
He's just taking out things with like flicks of his hands, and now he's gonna, you know, reprogram Ultron. Look at that. Doom is like, I could use this. I could use this.
Yep. Dude, he was my hero of this. I'm telling you, Dr. Doom is the hero of this story.
Red Star, yep. Silver Surfer, Mara to the She-Wolf. Yeah, this was good. Epic Illustrated. This was Marvel directly trying to compete with Heavy Metal.
I loved Epic, man. I bought a lot of that stuff. I was totally into Epic, and that's what's weird about it. I didn't get into a lot of the, like, soon as I got into it from all the, you know, the classic superhero stuff, I immediately went to all the darker stuff, you know, the Epic Illustrated and Mobius and European stuff, and, you know, Heavy Metal and all that. So this is real fun. I'm much more in this place now, so I'm really having fun.
Yeah, I'm returning back to wholesome blue sky superhero.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
The world is getting crazy. You know, I want good guys. You know,
what's funny is I was talking to Narwhal, and we were kind of discussing themes of cyberpunk,
right?
And how I'm almost like, I don't think it's time for cyberpunk. I almost think it's time for like the Jetsons again. Like, we need to have some hopeful views of the future. You know?
Oh, have you watched the Jetsons as an adult?
Yeah, I have the whole set.
Because they talk about curfews and think like there's some, like, I think like the writers of the Jetsons had some like horrible backstory, you know.
Oh, really? No, I haven't paid that much attention. Yeah, now you're making me want to watch it again.
Curfew, you know, they stay away from the land. You know, I love that theory that the Flintstones are
oh yeah, I love that.
I would love that. Yeah,
that they actually live in the same time period.
Yeah. Was Marvel's Unkept Vertigo. Yeah. Vertigo was so good. And I think Image killed Vertigo. I think, what do they offer? Just a better deal, and all the people that would have went to Vertigo went to Image.
I got into Vertigo too, man. Peter Milligan was like one of my favorite writers. He would do just some of the craziest stuff I ever read. Yeah, really great stuff. I love
his Shade, the Changing Man.
Yeah, the Shade, the face was crazy.
Great.
Yeah. That's good stuff. I mean, that's where, like, I fell in love with Duncan Fagredo and Chris Bacalo, and I mean, there's so many guys that are, you know, now they become kind of mainstream, but they started in Vertigo with Scribblies, you know. Yeah, this stuff, man. Look at that. Oh man, wait, let me flip the page.
Look at Cyclops is just blasting that like at that the Wrecking Crew is using. Then we got Chick Fight over here. She-Hulk just grabs Enchantress. Again, Rogue is beaten up.
Well, this was great, this little fight, because Enchantress, she ain't having it, man. She's like, get off me, you filth. I love that. She's like, but no, you really are all the same, aren't you? Frail and weak. Unhand me.
Why you are strong? I'm an Asgardian goddess. I can crush you with my fists like the slug you are. But physical contact with creatures such as you disgusts me.
Yeah. But I got to tell you,
working.
She-Hulk did not endear herself to me with this last line of that next panel where she's like, oh wow, that was like tubular, to the max. I was like, what, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This is the 80s. That was like, when was this? Was this early 80s?
This is 84.
Okay, that's too late for that kind of dialogue.
Right. That's what Chuck Dixon says. Don't use like slang because it just it immediately dates it.
Yeah.
Oh, we already saw that old dirty. As far as I'm concerned, Zek drew the best Captain America. I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah. That was great.
Oh, yeah.
There's this poster I remember from the first comic store I started going to. They had that Mike Zeck, or it was Mike Zeck Wolverine versus Captain America poster. Or it was like a cover, I think. But it's just them like duking it out and just like they're punching so hard that everything is exploding kind of thing. Yeah, I used to stare at it every time I went there.
Something about this panel I love. The smoking volcano.
Yeah.
The limp enchantress laying there. Thor with his hammer on Kang. Like.
Yeah, he's just setting it there. You're not going anywhere, pal. But this is okay. Here's the panel where I was like, what? She refers to herself as the wind witch, or no, what is it? The weather witch.
Right.
Which I was like, I've never heard anybody talk about her as a weather witch. Where does it say that?
We got to inform the audience who she is. Yeah.
Yeah, Thor. But I mean, I've never heard. I mean, not Thor, a Storm. But I mean, she's like, if one is a mutant weather witch, I was like, that would be the perfect way. Like, they should have that where, out of my way, weather witch. They should use that as an insult.
Smacking her out of the way.
But I've never heard that before. That was good.
And here
that sounds like a good character, the weather witch.
That sounds like a 60s DC villain.
Yeah.
The weather witch. You'd fight Wonder Woman,
And this crazy palace thing they got here. Or whatever, which was all just made by the Beyonder, like right at that moment.
What it was you found out in the Thing comic book, because again, I don't want to spoil it, but he took patchworks of other planets,
right?
So other races and other civilizations.
Oh, okay.
So there's like civilians that are just like huddling, like, what the hell is going on? Like everybody else on their world is dead. Doesn't really endear you to the Beyonder too much. Like to me. Well, you didn't read Secret Wars 2, but like they kind of like make like silly Beyonder, and it's like, dude, you destroyed a galaxy, and it's not like you destroyed the galaxy. You also have like infinite wisdom and intelligence. You knew what you were doing. You just didn't.
Yeah, this is cool. So they got they're starting to get their. What's funny is like. Cap's taking charge and he's like, we got to get a mess hall over there and get some bunks ready. It's just like
dig a latrine.
dig a latrine. Yeah, I mean,
and Xavier's standing. I'm confused. He had a wheelchair. Now all of a sudden he's walking around.
Oh, he is? Let me see.
Isn't that Xavier? He's the only one in a suit and a tie.
He is walking around. What the? Well, they talk about this either it's coming up. It must be, but they talk about Xavier wasn't even in his wheelchair. They're talking about how when they got here they were doing something else, or they weren't even in their full costume.
He can walk at this point, but they put him in the wheelchair because that's the classic look.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, he's like, look at me. I'm in my wheelchair. I don't even need it anymore. Yeah. Yeah, he used Shi'ar technology to fix. The weather witch is how Claremont had Storm referred to by the villains. Yeah, it was like
okay.
It was like an insult.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Right now.
First 10 issues republished by Marvel, and it being so bad it's good. Fantagraph. Yeah, I don't want to pull it out, but right over here next to me is the Atlas collection of all the Venus comics. I don't know. That's another character. I just have a. affection for Marvel's Venus.
I don't know if I know that one.
Yeah, she was a 50s. She was before Marvel, it was Atlas. And in the 50s, they had a small run of superheroes. They had Marvel Boy, Submariner, Venus, the 3D Man. And then they made a What If the Avengers were formed in the 50s, and they put all of the old Atlas heroes on one team. And then they made a comic called Agents of Atlas, which I loved up until, I quit Marvel in 2015. But Agents of Atlas from 2015 years of excellent comics. So I love the good guys find like a home with like a waterfall. It's idyllic, like nice, steps.
Yeah, it's not a bad place.
Yeah, not a bad place. They got some water over here. Cap's telling them, logistics. And then Iron Man, Magneto's got this like, it just looks like a war cast, and it's surrounded by like sentient meat plants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was like, what is that? But I actually love that ship. That ship is badass, or that whatever that is. Is it a ship?
It's a base that looks like a weapon,
Yeah. It's
like
really cool looking. It reminds me of like from Robotech, the SDF-1 ship they had these two big forks coming out like that. Yeah, brought back some memories.
The bad guys are scurrying back. Doom's like, welcome back. You must now.
Yeah, and Magneto here is just being kind of whiny, where he's like, am I a homo? Like.
Yeah, he's rejected by both teams. He's not going to be on the bad guy team, and he's not going to be on the good guy team. So he's his own faction at this point, which I do think kind of brilliant.
Huh?
I said,
yeah.
Brilliant. He doesn't fit anywhere.
But here again, I love that. Here comes my hero, man. Doom. They're coming up like a bunch of tough guys, thinking they're gonna like what,
Doom's like, I'm not even gonna lift a finger.
He didn't do nothing, man.
Ultron's gonna take you out.
Octopus is like, Octopus now rules here, Doom, and he's like, I think not. And he didn't have to do nothing, man.
Yeah. And he's so confident he even turns his back on him.
Yeah, it's so good where he's like, what does he say? Absolutely indestructible, powerful beyond measure, armed with alien energies which even the absorbing man cannot absorb, and none of you can endure. And then he says, he is mine to command, as are you. I love that. I was like, yeah. It's so good, man. It was reminding me of some of those like great moments, or at least what I remember is from a kid, when the bad guys would just nail it.
Look at the coloring in this, a lot of greens. So everything is just like blue. And look at Ultron just emerging from the shadows in the background.
Yeah, and he's watching like a sentinel.
Right. And that slight head turn on Dr. Octopus is just like, it just shows like, I don't like this, but this isn't the time to make a stand.
Yeah. And then like Galactus just standing on a mountain doing something. He's like, I don't know what he's doing, but I got my suspicions.
and I love this. Dr. Doom just yelled at everybody, screamed, but he's talking nice to the Molecule Man. I have a special,
Yeah.
He's buttering up the because even Doom knows the molecule next to Galactus. It's the Molecule Man who's the most powerful.
Yeah, he could like take his armor and just turning it into something else, right? Like,
and already the Wrecker is like scheming. Shh, make sure he's a milksop, but he's more powerful than the rest of us combined. Controlling molecules, he could do anything.
Mm-hmm.
They're just scheming and coming up a plan. What about Galactus? Galactus, there he stands on top of a mountaintop over 4,000 miles distance. His purpose, I know not, though I have suspicions. Come on, we all know what Galactus is doing.
And might I just note the scale of that monitor they're looking at?
I know.
There's little people down at the bottom.
Yeah, what kind of alien race built that?
That is the biggest monitor.
Doom,
it's so funny.
Ordering Dr. Octopus around. What's he saying? Something tells me he's got ambitions that dwarf merely triumphing in the Beyonders' little contest. The question is whether he'll destroy us trying to achieve them. Of course he will.
And it's kind of cool that like Octavius has been kind of a bumbling idiot for the whole time, and this is the first time where you know, I sense some kind of danger. You know, like he is conniving, he is smart, and he looks built as hell right here. So
I know, yeah, you don't want to mess with him right here.
No, he looks tough, not like I've ever seen him before. So,
yeah. Dr. Doom and the Octopus have the same costume. Yeah, green. It always seemed. Where was it? I was reading like the color schemes on in superheroes. Like blue and yellow is a heroic combination. Purple and green is destruction. You know.
Yeah, that's interesting because, like in color psychology, purple is like the color of magic and royalty, and green is the color of nature or envy. I think also there's different things from it, but yeah.
Look at Magneto. I just thought of this. He's like the inverse of Superman. You know, instead of a red cape and blue, he's got like this bluish cape and red. You know.
Yeah, and he flies with his arms to his side.
I know. Look at this though. This is like, I think of that like in my comic. Like, how does the patriarch fly? Like, is this just normal? But it's not spoilers because I already told it. The patriarch has telekinesis, so when he's flying, he's literally lifting up his arms, so his arms aren't going to get tired.
Okay.
He's picking up his body like a field is picking up every part of his body. So what, you know, this is just the most aerodynamic. You know, you still don't want to have wind.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to think of these things. That's kind of the fun of comics.
Yeah.
And then of course the girls get to, you know, I don't know.
Broken.
Well, this looks bad. Yeah, I wish I was at home with my garden and my tea, you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, now here's where I'm like, Ben Grimm, and who likes you? Go away.
Magneto's just.
Oh yeah, right. Let's look at that background. That background rocks, man. That Magneto flying into whatever is going on in that room at that moment. The power core. Yeah,
that's what it looks like. This is the power core.
That is a great design. I mean, I love the colors in it and everything. It's just blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow, with a dash of orange to show you that there's a little bit of depth. And
so
where
cool,
they're just hanging out in like this solar, room.
I don't know what the hell they're both talking about the wives, you know, the women they left behind, kind of, and then Ben Grimm.
I wasn't even wearing my costume when I vanished, and here I have it on. Interesting, Cyclops. Professor X said he wasn't even in his wheelchair when he disappeared. Yeah. We arrived here in it as though the Beyond fixed little things that seemed to be wrong or missing. You know,
that makes me wonder if that's an editorial fix because they were probably making this book really fast. Like maybe they just like, oh crap, how did we totally forgot about this stuff.
Yeah, you're probably right. They probably started working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's but then, they're having this conversation like men, talking about things. And then Ben Grimm sidles up.
Talking about chicks. I was on my honeymoon. I was about to rail this chick. You know what I mean?
And then Ben Grimm's like, oh, he's what do you call it? Eavesdropping.
Right. He's like, I can't even watch the Mets game. So I might as well take a stroll. Looky here. Stretcho and that skinny X-Men kid, Cyclops. It's funny because when I read this, it was like Ben Grimm calling Cyclops a kid, but I was like 12 years old. So Cyclops was supposed to be like 21, 22. To me, that was like a grown-up adult. And
yeah. Oh, Ben Grimm
calling him a kid. It was like confusing to me.
Well, yeah, in the 70s especially, but also it still was that way in the 80s. But even not even a 20-year-old, as soon as they had hair on the face, they just seemed so much older. We had guys in high school that drove their own car and had mustaches, and we're like, I know they seem so like old to me.
In my neighborhood, who was like a full-on adult, he had a hairy check, he had a car. And just today on Twitter at lunchtime, I read this woman complaining, I'm 35, I have 4 kids, and I don't have time to play video games, and we need to have better save points. I'm like, my mom never complained about playing video games.
No. No, they didn't complain.
What is wrong with you that a mother's concerned is she can't save her video game enough? All right, that's all right. So considering the circumstances, you know, they're talking about, you'll see your wife soon. You'll see. And he's like, thanks, guys. I almost managed to forget that I'm probably never going to see Alicia again.
Oh,
And it's probably best for her anyway.
What a sad sack. Oh, my God. I was so... Look at F in the chat says... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, F in the chat says, cheer up, Ben. You're a hero. We love you. Yeah, he needs it. He needs his handheld. Baby.
Yeah, but who... when Johnny Storm ended up marrying Alicia, I was livid.
Yeah.
And then they retconned it until she was a scroll. I was like, doesn't matter. Johnny still thought he was getting in on Ben's woman, you know.
Yep. Johnny. He's another punk.
Unforgivable. You could pick up any girl in the world. You got the one woman Ben liked.
Of course.
Doesn't matter that she was a scroll.
Yeah, it's all fun games, but he's still man's girl, man.
Yeah.
What a jerk.
Yeah, you're a jerk.
Look at that top panel. Is so cool.
It does it remind you of Ditko? Just those molecules.
Kind of, yeah. It does. All of this kind of has a Ditko flavor to it because Ditko would do a lot of that little figures in a space kind of thing, and feels like this, you know. But it also kind of makes me think of like Jules or like what's his name, Captain Nemo. It is like organ. Yeah. F in the chat says, cheer up. And oh no, he says, remember when She-Hulk was cool? The funny thing is to me, She-Hulk wasn't cool until after the series. You know, joins the Fantastic Four. She gets that John Byrne series. Like she was still kind of like really didn't have a personality or anything. She was just, they created the She-Hulk because they heard that they were going to make a female Hulk on the TV show. So Stan kind of rushed out a female Hulk so that they would have control over the character. I don't think there was much thought into her. John Byrne just liked her and made her. I read the Byrne She-Hulk. I got it on my shelf. I actually quite like that stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's bouncy. She's a lot of fun. Yeah. I don't know. It's this stuff when she was like, "Oh, tubular." I was like, "What? Yes, get out of here." And we got Spider-Man and Human Torch like are genuine friends. You know that they're sharing a moment. I don't know. Do you think they would be friends? I mean, the Peter Parker that would be friends with this jerk. I mean, really? Well, although I've heard things about that Peter Parker is actually the jerk, and like Flash was like just the guy that wanted to be his friend, and like we read Spider-Man Amazing Fantasy 15. Like, maybe they would be friends because they're both Peter jerks. Parker. I firmly believe Peter Parker was on his way to becoming a villain. He was no different than Dr. Doom. I'll show you. The world will rule the day. I'm smarter than everybody. Blah, blah, blah. And then Liz Allen's like, "Hey, Pete, you want to go to a party?" And Flash is like, "Yeah, you want to come with?" "Shut up, Flash, you jerk!" What a asshole. And then Uncle Ben dies. If Uncle Ben had lived, Peter Parker. Yeah. Wow. I love. Magneto attacks. Just starts taking them all out. Yeah, this is cool. I love this bit where Spider-Man's coming out in like a ball of metal, and they're like, "Guys, it's Magneto," and Grimm's like, "Yeah, we figured that out, kid." He's using his magnetic powers to compress magnets all over. Yeah, we kind of figured it out. All right, don't need we don't need Reed to explain these things. And then he traps the Wasp in this, and then Ben Grimm turns back into Ben Grimm. Or the Thing turned back into Ben Grimm. What? Yeah, this was wild. I was not expecting this. Like, what? They haven't explained it either yet because I've only read the first 2 issues. Yeah. So, but I love this bit on that where Ben, you're human again, and you're naked. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. He's like, "Don't ask me, Stretcho. It just happened." Yeah. It took too long. Maggie's gone with the Wasp. Yeah, Magneto stole the Wasp. I guess that settles whose side he's on. He's stealing superheroes. I like this. This is over here. Then it's just like, look at all this stuff that's going on. We got Storms. We got Galactus. The Crisis Within. Look at the coloring choices on that. Like, the lighting is down, so everybody's kind of dark. What matters is what the information conveyed on the monitors. It's so great. And it's just all the characters are one color blue. All that machinery is another color blue. The ground is that kind of gray. And then, you know, the bright whites, yellows, purples, all the bright colors in those 3 panels you're supposed to pay attention to.
And you can see, like, Galactus is so far away, it's daylight there, and the other places are at night. At least that's the way I interpret that.
And everything is so clearly readable. It's just so good, man. That simple color style. They would have totally, you know, even me would have overcolored this and all the I'm currently overcoloring Kid Carter right now, but that's Aaron's fault. Yeah. I wanted to color him flat.
Roger Stern gave the She-Hulk a personality in the Avengers. Yeah. I remember that Hulk. Yeah. What the F was that? I miss highly readable comics. Yeah. I think what do you think about like 3D models and you know, Photoshop references? That seems to be the hot topic. Well, obviously there was none of that in this.
Yeah, there was none of that. I mean, I've used that stuff on occasion to get a car right and things like that because I can't draw cars for crap. But because of, you know, and it wasn't a thing. I mean, I remember when I first started using it, I would talk to like Brian Stelfreeze and some other guys, and we were honestly worried about the proliferation of it because, you know, whereas someone like, Jason Pearson could use it well, you know, some other people wouldn't, and we're going to end up with a lot of bad comics. And we did, you know, it starts taking the life out of it. And then when you're confronted with this kind of stuff and you're looking down the barrel of AI and things like that can do it way better than you, there's something inside of me that wants to go as raw and as filtered as possible. Like this is just raw imagination right out of the pipe.
Pencil and paper.
This is a guy with pencil and paper and very little reference, and it is what it is. And I think that we need that again. I really do.
Yeah. You know, I'm reading like old Eerie and Creepies and stuff, and I just
that stuff is so good.
I just stop and I'm like, people don't draw like this anymore.
They use a lot of reference. Those guys are like, they were some of the best of the best. And you know, if they had especially if it's like Kurtzman or somebody involved, if there's a gun in it, it's going to be an accurate depiction of the gun, you know. But still, the craftsmanship on display, second to none. Even though Wally Wood talks about tracing, he wasn't afraid of that at all. He's like, you know, don't draw what you can trace, don't trace what you can, whatever. You know what I mean? You can cut out and copy and paste in there. But there was a level of craftsmanship to what he was doing. You know, he
didn't trace anything. He put it in a proper perspective, and you know.
Well, like what's his name? Who did the Star Wars and he did the oh man, he was a great inker, Al Williamson.
Okay.
Now Al Williamson is well known for using an art projector where he'll put a photo in it, it'll project it onto the paper, in which he can basically trace the outline on it. But that's for a level of accuracy, not as a handicap. I mean, Al Williamson is a brilliant artist and craftsman anyway. And so in the hands of him, it's perfectly acceptable and fine. It's in the hands of the amateur where they refuse to learn the craft.
Right.
And they're just using it to get the job done and get paid. It's like, why are you even doing this? You know? Really? Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to use it to aid you in establishing your vision. It's another thing just to get it done and get paid, you know? So that's my 2 cents on it anyway. I don't think it's necessarily the greatest evil comics has ever seen. That's maybe AI. We'll have yet to see. I don't know. I don't mind AI that bad. Honestly, I don't mind any of this stuff because it has rekindled that thing in me that wants it's like looking at, I've been talking to this guy, Robert Norton, who's been going over Rob Liefeld's comics, and he's just like, they're so bad. And I'm like, yeah, but they're so good, because it's just a kid sitting with a lap board in front of his TV, drawing superheroes fighting. And it's like that old saying, either be the best or be the worst. Don't be mediocre.
Yeah. And
I think that Photoshop, or what do you call it, SketchUp models and things like that, that aids in the mediocrity. That adds into being just boring.
Yeah.
Go ahead and be bad. Draw the worst car that we've ever seen in comics. It'll still be better than that, you know?
Yeah, Jack Kirby, as much as I look, like I keep saying to people, if you want to criticize Jack Kirby as far as his anatomy and his accuracy, like a Jack Kirby gun, what planet did these guns come from? Like,
that's the thing. He was a brilliant stylist, and what's his name? McFarlane. I remember reading this article once, because they were asking him about how, you know, he was talking about how nobody liked his artwork when he was starting at Marvel. You know, he had to really kind of work it and become who he was. But he said once, and this was huge for me, was I may not be able to draw the most accurate trash can, but I can draw the coolest one. And I was like, yeah, you know, it really kind of made you think about, well, I'll just, you know, as long as it's your style and you're consistent with it, it's acceptable, you know?
I remember a Captain America comic, and Captain America was throwing a punch. And first off, it just looked like anybody getting hit by this punch was just getting crushed, you know? So it's just the action and the energy. But I'm looking at the arm, and I'm like, there was like an extra set of muscles that nobody has. You know, his anatomy was terrible, but it was the coolest punch ever thrown, you know, up until that point in comic books. So
powerful.
You know, like you said, you know, I don't think he was like Al Williamson or Johnny Craig or these guys over War Magazine. They must have been like, what's with this Kirby guy? You know, but
there's one guy that bridged the gap, man, and that's John Buscema. Because John Buscema was an artiste like those guys, but he also respected Kirby and knew what Kirby was doing. And he could throw one of the hardest punches I've ever seen in comics, John Buscema, next to Kirby. Yeah.
At this point, like in 1984, at this point, if I closed my eyes and I said Marvel, I didn't know it at the time, but it was drawn. The image in my head was drawn by either John Romita or you know, Buscema. You know,
I picture Romita, honestly, and I'm not even that familiar with Romita, but just because he's been on every underoos and pair of sheets and the curtains I've ever had from Marvel, they were all Romita. So that's that look, that style. And this, honestly, I got those good feels from looking at just all this classic stuff. And
I didn't like Kirby at this point. To me, Kirby was old time comics. That's what, you know, like that was old fashioned comics. But I fell in love with Kirby. Like I faked it for a while, because when I started working at the comic book store, everybody's like, "Oh, Kirby." I was like, "Oh yeah," you know. I was just faking it because I didn't like it and I didn't want to be out among the cool comic book. But I've since grown into a Kirby fanatic. Like I said.
Oh yeah, same here. I've gone through phases of Kirby. I had my gateway drug was honestly this Green Arrow story that he did. That still had like some of the realism from his older stuff, but he was starting to kind of play with his style. And then I got into like Challengers of the Unknown. I really like that stuff because it is much more grounded, not nearly as crazy, but he has a lot of great designs and everything. But now I'm full blown acid trip Kirby, crazy stylist. I just so in love with that stuff because nobody's doing anything like that now.
No,
nobody did it then either. Very few people really latched onto it.
his ability to predict the future, like the mother boxes were cell phones.
Yeah.
Read OMAC. It's almost scary how like the future is being and that it's and it only lasts like 8 issues. Yeah, I got to agree. Pete Kirby was Fantastic Four, but also, if you read Thor 150 to like 170, that introduced like Ego and Adam Warlock and
Hey, here's a hot take. I actually like Chick Stone on Kirby. It depends. Like I have my the X-Men, the first one, which I really like actually for his art. But I can't remember. It's either an X-Men. When Chick Stone gets involved, you can immediately tell, and it's got so much more life in it. I don't know why, but like he's being inked by you just mentioned him as part of like the EC guys. Man, what's his name? Hold on,
Johnny Craig.
Johnny Craig.
Yeah.
Johnny Craig inked Kirby and a bunch of that stuff, right? Or no. I'm thinking of my bad. I'm thinking of Chick Stone inked Kirby in this, but no, it's Iron Man. Okay. So Iron Man, I'm a huge Don Heck fan and a huge who's this other guy? I always forget his name.
Don Heck was another guy I couldn't stand for so long. I always thought he was so stiff.
Don Heck and George Tuska. I love George Tuska, but Don Heck was kind of like, he's not as good as like Tuska. Tuska is like awesome, but then Don Heck gets inked by Chick Stone in here. And it like comes alive. I'm like, what? Whoa. You know, I used to like hate on Chick Stone because everybody hated on Chick Stone because he erased Kirby's backgrounds and whatnot, you know. But anyway, we're way off the subject.
The story I know about Chick Stone is he was like, can you ink? We need an inker. It's like, yeah, of course I could ink. And he didn't know how to ink. You know,
yeah.
And they said that he was like ladies' man. He would tell girls, oh yeah, we need models. So he'd bring girls up to the bullpen, and like everybody else would like play up Chick Stone, like Jack Kirby, like, oh yeah, Chick's here today, yeah, you know, so he was inking.
He was just a guy making some money so he can go take some dames out to lunch, you know.
That's what I'm talking about. Those old guys.
Yeah,
they were men's men.
Yeah, dude. If you want to read a great history, is read Spirited Life. By Will Eisner, and Will Eisner talks about Kirby coming in. Like Kirby was working in his studio, and these back in those days, there used to be the mafia used to run all these tenement houses, and they would come in and like force you to buy all these towels. You know, it's going to be, you're going to need these towels. So they had to buy these towels, but Kirby like stood up to them and back them down. They had to leave because Kirby was so tough. That was Will Eisner recalling that story.
Maybe they were from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You're going to need a towel.
Yeah, get out of here. Oh man, yeah, good stuff.
Oh, Coletta. So I'm getting them wrong. Coletta's the one who brought the girls. Okay.
Oh, Coletta is the one that erased it. Okay. For some reason, I always thought that Chick Stone was the one that everybody hated.
Yeah, Coletta. I knew
Coletta
is the one that people don't like. I actually like Coletta. I
always kind of like Coletta too. I'm gonna have to go back and look at some of that stuff. Yeah, I'm kind of been reevaluating as I dig deeper into all this. I'm, you know, my allegiances are flying back and forth. You know.
Well,
I'm like, Don Heck, he's no good. And then I see him inked well, and I'm like, whoa, I like Don Heck.
It's 10:30, and I got to wake up at 4:30.
Oh, okay, yeah, we can wrap it. Yeah.
So we'll talk offline, see when we can set up the next couple of issues.
Yeah, for sure.
This is so much fun. Again, thank you for playing comic books with me. This is
this is fun.
This is the equivalent of me and you as 12-year-olds smashing our action figures together. You know.
I was worried when I started reading it. Now I'm actually looking forward to where it's going. So I'm going to be sipping it as we go. I'm not reading too far ahead. So I'm going to read the next two issues.
That's good, because it came out once a month. You know, you're reading it the way it came out.
It's better
Sometimes
like that.
I think binge reading comic books kind of ruins it. Like,
yeah.
Like I tell my wife when we're watching a show, it's like, no, I don't want to watch the next episode. I want to think about what we just watched. And you know,
these two issues have already changed me. I'll say that, you know, not as dramatically as Jim Starlin has, but in more of a, it's got me thinking about some of the fundamentals of comic books. You know, this one does. I think Jim Shooter might have been onto something. You know, some very basic kind of very, you know, the readability of it, the elegant simplicity of it, and man, old Zek.
And it sold like gangbusters, man. This was a big deal. I mean, in a way, it kind of backfired because this is the beginning of all of the company-wide crossovers. And in a very real way, I think this is one of the contributors of like the decline of comic books. Because, you know, before this, the Fantastic Four just had great stories. Now, Fantastic Four gets interrupted for some stupid company-wide crossover, and then we got to sell this. We got to, you know, oh, it didn't do good, so let's do another one. And like every 3 months, they have. Like, at one point, there were like 3 or 4 different company-wide crossovers at any given. It's like, come on, just I think they should do away with them, you know, and do it like this. One series outside of the regular continuity. You didn't have to get it if you didn't want to. Like within the pages of every comic book, it just got to be crazy.
Well, and they should go back to doing annuals, where annuals meant something in the overall scheme of the story, and it was like the big, you know, like when we read the annual for Warlock, that was an event, man.
Yeah.
And then this amped up the whole event even bigger. So. Yeah, man. We need to go back to our roots. Seriously.
in this time period, the annuals were stuff that you were like, oh my God, I missed it. When did it come out? Because we didn't have schedules. They just showed up when they showed up.
I used to love the annuals in my time too, because it would always have pinups by artists that you rarely see, like a Mignola or whatever. You'd see these guys doing great pinups and stuff. And it would also have multiple stories. So it would always get like more than one comic in a go.
Yeah, and then a blueprint of the Black Baxter building or Avengers Mansion. And
yeah. Elliot R. Brown just killing it, doing great stuff.
Oh, cool. His schematics for the Quinjet. Hojo made it just in time for us. Hojo's here. We got to go, everybody.
Man. Oh, man. Hojo's always got to show up and ruin the fun. No, I'm just kidding.
But I got to go. As much as I'd love to stay up.
Got to work in the morning.
I can feel, I wake up at 4:30. Work ruins everything, man.
Yeah.
Everybody buy 15, 16 copies of Heroic Tales so I could, you know, quit my job and
yeah, then we can nerd out on comics.
Comic books all night long.
And you would too.
I would. This is what I want to do.
Yeah. It's coming.
I feel bad for people who don't have hobbies. Like, you know, I got guys at work who are like, what am I going to do if I retire? I'm like, whatever.
Oh my God. I don't have enough time to do all the goofy stuff. I'd like. I could just stare at the wall and enjoy myself. I don't know what the. I know. I'd have imagination, you know.
Sleep late and read comic books. What other answer is there?
Yeah. All right, let's get out of here. You got work to do.
But thanks a lot, everybody. I appreciate it. Tomorrow I'll have two talks. I forget who I'm talking to because I'm getting sleepy. Friday, I'm going to do a launch stream for Heroic Tales. Is going to go on Kickstarter. The page has been approved.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to have a couple of extra things that people asked me about. I'll talk about that. So, you know, there'll be a cover by Michael T. Gilbert for Heroic
What? Are you serious?
Absolutely serious. Michael T.
Mr.
Gilbert,
Monster?
Dude,
I love that guy.
Oh, so do I. I when I did Heroic Tales, it's supposed to be like an old school comic. So I got Pat Broderick to do a cover, Michael T. Gilbert to do a cover, and Mike Gustovich to do a cover.
Oh man.
So that'll be Friday night.
Lucky.
I'm going to send out a general invitation to anybody who wants to come in and help me launch the second campaign.
Sure, yeah, man. I might show up. That'd be fun.
Oh, I would love it. And then maybe Saturday I'll do It's Clobbering Time, where it's going to be we're going to talk about who would win in a fight, Daredevil versus Nightwing. And then and when that's done, I have It's Clobbering Time that I think will blow everybody's minds out, and I really want to hear everybody. I'm teasing this on purpose. I want to get people to. And Kelsey, you're welcome to that show too. That's an open invite show.
Clobbering Time.
Yeah, the last one was Moon Knight versus Batman, and we talked. For
who won?
My personal. Everybody agreed Batman would win, but I said if it was just the Beyonder teleports them to, Moon Knight would beat the crap out of Batman. Because
really, I'm about to watch that video. I want to see your logic.
I think Moon Knight would just be crazy and unpredictable, but then Batman would be like, okay, I got this guy down pat, and then then beat the crap out. But we talked about more than the fight. We talked about the character itself, the high points as the stories, who their villains are. You know, we talked about the character, and then we ended with the fight. I want it to be more than just who'd win in the fight. You know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Oh, that's great. I'm going to check it out then.
Double versus Nightwing. I have strong feelings on this, and I don't think it's going to be a surprise who I'm.
Daredevil and Nightwing.
Yeah,
I got to go Daredevil.
Well, I don't give it away yet. Otherwise,
don't spoil it. But I got to go Daredevil on that one.
All right, so that'll probably be Saturday. That depends on if my wife and I are doing something Saturday night. So I'll see you guys. See you.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Later, gang.